Hey, welcome to today's Leadercast. I'm so glad that you guys have joined us, and so we just want to jump right in. My name is Monica Morgan, and I get the pleasure of being the Central Go Kids pastor here at River Valley Church, and super excited about today's topic and talking about how to define volunteer DNA in kids ministry. Boy, if you're like me, you know that we need volunteers in kids ministry. It is just vital. Can't do it alone. There's no such thing as a one-man band in kids ministry. And so I'm excited to just jump into this. And hey, if you think of any questions, just be writing them in as we go through this, and we'll have some Q&A time at the end. So looking forward to that. We just kind of want to jump in, just tell you a little bit about myself. So I've been here at River Valley for 4 years now, and I've really just had a great time just seeing just the development that we've been able to do through Go Kids, and especially with volunteers. And so today's topic is near and dear to my heart, and so I'm excited with that. Let's jump in. Like I said, we can't do kids ministry alone. It takes people, it takes a whole team, it takes a village. And so by providing volunteer DNA, it really provides a set of values to rally behind. So when your team, when your volunteers really feel a sense of belonging and of family and of team, they're really going to take things to the next level. That's really where you're able to just innovate and just have fun and really do some great things to reach God's kids. And so what we do here is that our DNA and our overall values that we do, it doesn't compete with our church's values. In fact, it comes alongside and it complements it. And so we looked at our church's values and we said, all right, how do we implement that into our ministry, into our context, and carry out our church's vision and our lead pastor's vision? And so it started with us asking a few questions. And I think this is just vital and just crucial for anyone that works in a kids department, is to ask a few things about your team and just to assess the health and the wavelengths of the team. So one thing you want to ask is, how do I know if my team is winning? How do I know? So if you've got things that you want to accomplish, like we all do, you've got goals that you want to hit, and you've got kids and families that you want to reach, you really want to know, how do I know if my team is winning? So if I've set out these objectives and these goals for them, how do we know if we're hitting them? How do we know if we're truly doing our job in the best way that we can? You also want to ask things like, are we on pace? Are we tracking with where we want to go and where we want to be, and really building that team morale and all doing it together? And then also, you want to ask yourself, what kind of culture do we want to build and instill? Because every kids ministry has its own culture, its own fingerprint, its own way of doing things that is special and unique. And that's vital. And you really want to capture that and pinpoint what it is that makes you special and unique, and really lean into that. You know, it's been said that often it can be easy to go into a vision drift. And this can happen very easily without us even knowing it. So how do we protect against that vision drift? Just that natural inclination to slightly get off track. It has to be corrected, has to be addressed. And so what we've determined here at Go Kids is we say, you know what? We want to set a clear DNA, a code, which is we call the Go Kids way. And we said we want to invest in our volunteers, because when we believe that when you invest in those volunteers, that has a trickle down and a domino effect. Because you see, if a volunteer is happy in their position, in their ministry, really feeling that they're a part and are giving life to everything that's around them, they're going to give their all. They're going to give life, and they're going to want people to come on the team as well. Let me tell you, there's no better way to recruit for your volunteer team than with your volunteers. It takes that personal ask. It takes that tap on the shoulder to say, hey, come along with me and be on my team. Let me tell you what's so great about my team. And so building and defining that DNA gives that volunteer the power to be able to explain what's so great. So here we go. So Go Kids, we've got 5 things that we say. We say, number 1, we keep it safe. Number 2, we dream it big. Number 3, we aim it high. Number 4, we make it fun. And number 5, we do it together. And we came at that through some strategy and through sitting and thinking through what are the things that we want to come alongside and say, these are our values that are in line with our church's values. And those are the 5 things. And so I want to go through those. And hopefully this will inspire some great ideas for you and for your team. Again, this is just our way of doing it. And so I just want to share that with us today. So here we go. Number 1, we keep it safe. So in Go Kids, we say that we are committed to providing physically, emotionally, and spiritually safe places and spaces. You know, safety is our first commitment. Without it, ministry can't happen. It's vital, not only that kids feel safe, but that parents feel safe and that volunteers feel safe as well. So you see, for our volunteers, we have background checks, we have tags and lanyards that they wear, we have a check-in system, we have policies and procedures, we have shirts that we wear. These are probably all things that you're doing as well, but it really gives this sense of safety and security to show that, hey, we're following up. We're doing our due diligence to make sure that this is a place that is safe, that is welcoming. It's not only safe physically, but it's also safe emotionally, so that when a child feels safe, then they can open up. Then they can really open themselves up, and God can do all that He wants to do in their lives. And so we keep it safe. This is also crucial for room ratios. And so we're making sure that our volunteer teams are staffed in a way that provides us to have those proper room ratios. And so for us, for Go Kids, it looks like 1 to 3 for our youngest group for our nursery, and then 1 to 5. So 1 leader to 5 kids for our preschool, which is what we call Flight Lab. And then it's 1 to 10 for our elementary grouping, which we call Go Port. And so we keep it safe. That's one thing we want to strive over and over. It's our commitment to our team. It's our commitment to our families in our church, is that we keep it safe. And that helps the volunteer too, in knowing that and knowing that their safety is looked after. So the second one is that we dream it big. Well, if you're in kids ministry, it means that you like to dream it big. You probably like to dream it crazy, and we do too. And so we say that we're committed to reaching the world for Jesus. And this requires us to think bigger and dream larger than we ever have. It takes a big dream to carry out a big goal. You see, our heart is global. And so by telling our volunteers that we dream it big, it allows them to then inspire others through giving and through missions and through reaching out. You see, we've got local projects and global teams that are going out and doing incredible things. And we want to instill that in our life teams as well. We want to create spaces that allow each child to trust, to imagine, and to discover all that they can be. And it's our volunteers that really help us to make that difference. We want kids to be challenged to be a pilot. We've said that we're going to use that as our acronym, that we want them to be prepared, involved, loving, open to God, and a team player. Now that happens directly through our volunteers, with instilling that and helping to reach those kids to become all that God is creating them to be. And so we want our volunteers to dream it big, to help us dream ways to reach families, to help us dream ways to give more to missions, and to really make an impact on our community through projects that we do. So we keep it safe, we dream it big. Number 3 is we aim it high. You see, we're committed to giving and doing our best. We know that excellence is found in the details. And so we really strive to give the best weekend experience that we can. Now, this doesn't mean big budget. This means big heart. And so we're able to do this through our volunteers. You see, we say everyone is on trash cleanup. Everyone is part of making the place look good. And so excellence is found in those little things. When you see something that's out of place, help it, fix it. We want our volunteers to feel part of it, to feel that ownership, so that they know that they can step in and they can help out. We want the environment and our Go Kids areas to say, we've been waiting for you. Welcome. That's what we want to convey to our families. And I know that you do too. And so that takes place through our volunteers. When our volunteers are ready, when they feel set up, when they feel that they are ready and for a successful weekend, then that translates into all that they do. So when we've done our job during the week of preparing our volunteers, of getting them their resources that they need, of properly training them and making sure that they know what to do and where to go and all the things to do to make a great weekend experience, then they feel comfortable. They feel at ease. And then what happens? Then that means that the families feel welcome and at ease, and that translates to the kids as well. You see, your volunteers set the tone. And so when they're aiming it high, when they're aiming for success, then you know that you're going to be able to reach it because you're all doing it together. So we've got our volunteers help out with our small groups and with our large groups. They're a part of everything that we do. All right, so here we go. We keep it safe. We dream it big. We aim it high. Next is we make it fun. So we're committed to bringing fun into every environment. We are passionate about kids ministry, and we like to say, if it's not fun, it's not church. We serve an incredible, inspiring, passionate God, and that should trickle out into all that we do. And so let's have fun with it. We're in kids ministry. We have the best jobs, and our volunteers are part of that. And so we want to make sure that we are instilling life and fun and positivity into everything that we do, and that starts with the volunteer. Because you see, a parent and a kid can be super excited to come in for service, but if your volunteer is stressed out or doesn't know what's going on or is worried about something, that's going to quickly spread. And so we want to make sure that our volunteers are feeling good and are having fun. We want people that are ready to go, that are excited about the vision, that are excited about the vision. All right, and then our fifth one, our last one, is that we do it together. We say that we are committed to serving as a team. We believe that there are no one-man bands in Go Kids. We're in it together. We do it together. Unity is a big, big deal. And so our volunteers are comprised of what we call life teams. And we have called it that for a reason, is that we spread and do life together as a team. We've also got our groups that are called life groups because we believe in being a life-giving church and a life-giving environment. And so we do it through our teams. We do it through building up our volunteers, and we do it through disseminating the vision and the ministry. I can't do it all. The staff at the church can't do it all. The more that we give away, the bigger that the ministry and the vision will grow. Because as people get excited, they're going to bring other people along with them. So we keep it safe. We dream it big. We aim it high. We make it fun, and we do it together. That is the Go Kids way. And that is the DNA that we are instilling into our volunteers. And then we found some different fun ways to do it. In fact, this fall, our new t-shirt rollout is going to have the code on the back, and it's in repeating succession, and it's just going to say it over and over. We dream it big, we make it fun, we do it together, we aim it high. It's just going to say it over and over because that is the Go Kids way. Another way that we've incorporated it into the things that we do is that we have our volunteers, they all wear Go Kids lanyards, and it's got their tag on the end of it. But then we've also created custom pins. If you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, you've seen this pin concept where you're able to do like a pin trading. And so we give them these pins, and they're able to put it on their lanyard. And we've got a pin for each one. So the one in my hand here is the We Keep It Safe. And so they've got a different pin for each one of these for our DNA. And so it just helps them to literally carry it with them. So we're putting it around our necks, starting in the fall with our shirts. We're going to be putting it on our backs. And it really, again, helps with that vision and with that alignment for our volunteers. I could go on and on and on about this, but hey, I think it'd be great if you have any questions or any strategies that you're working through with volunteers, or any questions on how to build that culture or define that DNA. Again, this is how we've defined ours, and each location and each ministry is different and has its own special, unique DNA, but it's important, I think, that we define it. It's important that we realize what are our strengths, what can we lean into, what can we capitalize on, and that is going to help your volunteer team to really rally around a common goal. And so I'll open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions, you can type them right in. I know this was a lot of information, so if you have any questions on anything that was given, we'll open it up just for a moment here for questions. And if you don't, that's fine too. We want to give you the opportunity if you wanted to text in any. Oh, that's great. So the question is, what's your check-in procedure that you mentioned earlier? Yeah, it's a great question. So we use, currently we're in a system called Arena. We're about to switch to one called Rock, but it is through computer monitors. Families will come up and they'll put in the last 4 digits of their phone number, and then that will pull up their family's profile. They'll select the children that are coming in, and they'll print out a tag for the child, and then a matching security tag for the parent. And first tag goes on the child, and then the other one the parent keeps with them. That is their ticket clearance to get into our Go Kids areas and to pick up their child. They are matching codes on both of the tags so that the leaders at the door in checkout time can double check them and make sure that, that the correct child is leaving with the correct parent. Awesome, great question. The next one from Shauna. Hi, Shauna. What's the best way to communicate these values with volunteers and get them on board, help them catch the vision, team training day, etc.? Ah, great questions. Yes, so it does you no good if you've got a DNA or code or cool pins or anything like that if you're not disseminating it out. So that vision has to trickle out. It's got to trickle through the organization. And so we do a variety of different ways. So first of all, we want to help train our staff. So our kids' staff, so we are at 9 campuses now. Our newest one is about to launch. And so we'll have times when the entire staff comes together and we join together, everybody all together once a month. And then once a year, we'll do a giant Go Kids One Day. And that's where we go through the vision, the DNA, just lay out the full year and the scope of everything that we do. And so with the staff, those are things that we lay out, and we'll say, hey, here's the vision, here's the DNA, here's what we're headed toward, and really rally around that. And then those kids pastors and those kids staff members will then take that, and during their training times with their teams, they will give that information out. So we'll do it through that one-on-one communication. We'll do it in those meetings where we have vision casting. But then also we've got our training manual that we've created, which is just a fun, picture-based, just talks through all of Go Kids and takes them through it. And we used our code, the Go Kids Way, as the framework of that. And so we want to talk to our volunteers about policies and procedures, or we want to talk to our volunteers about the check-in process. We're going to talk all about that within the framework of We Keep It Safe. If we want to talk about team unity, if we want to talk about family ministries and different components that we do, like our milestone classes, we're going to do that under the framework of We Do It Together. So there's a bunch of different ways that we're able to do it. A lot of our kids pastors will also communicate with their teams, and they will send out some sort of instruction occasionally, and then they will put it under the header of, hey, we believe that, here at Go Kids, that we aim it high. And because of that, we've set this in place. And then they'll give that information. Boy, when you know the vision, when you know the why, then you're able to give out that information better. And it really helps us to communicate. So that's great question to help volunteers catch the vision and to run with it. Because you've got to have that. If your volunteers don't hold your DNA, then it's not going to go anywhere. So you want your volunteers to capture it and to run with it, because they're going to help you recruit others. And so through different environment pieces, again, through the pins, through the shirt, through different ways, we're able to clearly continue to communicate that in all that we do. And then we need to do our job as staff of living that out and of continually communicating that through everything that we do. Great question. Any other questions? Hey, Isaac, what's the most important thing you have learned in kids ministry? Oh, I love that question. That's a great question. Most important thing I've learned in kids ministry is to be flexible. Blessed are the flexible, for they will work in kids ministry. I've said it a million times. It's so true. When you work with kids, you could be faced with anything. You just have no idea. So from those intimate moments of small group time, when you're given a question that you just need to immediately start praying to the Holy Spirit to give you that guidance and to help you answer that question, you've got to be flexible in that. when plans change or things don't go the way that you thought, or the weather affects an outdoor event that you had, you've got to be flexible in that. I think flexibility too just breeds a sense of thinking on your feet, of being quick, and being able to answer things no matter what the situation. So that's one of the most important things that I've learned, especially being on a church staff. You want to make sure that you're flexible and going with the vision, and you're not hard set in stone on anything, because you want to be open to what God has for you personally, for your ministry, and for the church. So great question. Are there any other good ones? All right, Bryce, have you noticed the need for a different approach when recruiting young adults, teen workers, as opposed to parents? Again, great question. Yes, young adults and teens want to volunteer with their friends. They desperately just want to be in an environment that allows them to hang out with their friends, to be with their friends. And so what we've done specifically for our young adults and our teen workers is we created a program called Go Live. And this program allows them to have some sort of like a club or an identity within Go Kids. And so we say that if you are in 6th grade to 12th grade, that Go Live is a great avenue for you to be able to volunteer and to help out. And so Go Live is comprised of a few different components. So there's Go Move, which is the worship team that is up on the stage. There is Go Tech, which is the tech team that helps run everything, lights and sound and pro-presenter shows and everything. And then there's Go Crew. And this could be anything from helping out small group leaders to actually being a small group leader, or to helping with stage setup, tear down, things like that. And so you really want to create an environment that allows those young students to just really be able to take everything that they're learning and really put it to good use. If we want God's word, if we want serving, if we want being challenged in your leadership to really stick with us and get in our heart, it's got to be in our hands too. So we need them to be active and to be doing things and to feel a part. So the worst thing that we can do is to call up younger people and then not have a place or an identity for them. And so great question. We really want to plug them in. And then also, they don't have kids in the game. And so they're going to help you too, to just really, I say the older I get, that I just need to continue to have younger people come alongside and come behind me to make me look cool and to keep that fun factor going. And so they're really going to do it, but they don't have the skin in the game as a parent would with having the child there. But you know what, when you can show them leadership, when you can show them that they are investing and helping the next generation, they're gonna buy in. Absolutely. Great question. Next question, Rachel, how are your small life groups organized or put together? What does that look like? Yeah, great question. So we start small groups as young as 3 years old in our kids department. And so our preschoolers are introduced to that small group aspect. It goes from our 3s, 4s, and 5-year-olds. And then it continues on into adults, because then we have small groups and life groups for adults. And so our services are broken up into large group and small group. And actually, an interesting thing that we did at the beginning of the year was we said, you know what, small groups, we believe, is a great intentional time for kids to really dial in and to engage with the lesson. But more often than not, they're at the end of service. We're running out of time. Maybe parents are coming and picking up a little early, and we kind of feel like that time is getting squelched, and it's just becoming shorter and shorter. We feel like our leaders are running out of time. How can we capitalize and how can we maximize on it? So what we did was we moved our small groups to the middle of service, right smack in the middle. And so we go from our Bible story then straight into our small groups. And then after small groups, then they'll come back for an object lesson, altar call, closing worship, quiz, things like that. But by putting them in the middle, we were able to really be intentional. And I know that we've talked about this in a previous Leadercast that you can check out called Intentional Services for Kids. But we really talked about how to put the focus on that small group time and then really teaching kids how to apply the lesson. And so we use, for elementary specifically, we use an acronym of PILOT, again, to break down that small group time. It's of 25 30 minutes. And so we're using that time to do play. We're using that time to do an inspection of the lesson and take a look at it. We're using that time for L, life application questions, that they can think about the lesson, process it, and put it in their own terms of what is God's word? How does that apply into my context, into my setting? What can I learn from, like last weekend's lesson was the woman at the well. And how does the fact that God looks at everyone, sees everyone the same, and because he loves me, he saves me, how does that apply to my life and then how I live out? And then the O is open to God. And so we're looking at our verse, we're looking at the main point of the day, and then we're closing it all in a time to talk to God and for prayer. And so that's kind of the rough component that we've put through that. All of our small group time points back to that large group time and to the overall lesson for it. So great question. Next question, do you have a year theme? What materials do you use, and what are the components of a session? For a year theme, I believe this would be in respect to volunteers. And so for our theme, we don't have a specific team within kids ministry, but instead we have a theme for our overall church that Pastor Rob will give. And so this year is called Stepping into the Yes. And so he really challenged all of us at the beginning of the year to step in to all God has for us, step into that yes. And so actually we've taken that and we've run with it. And speaking of pins, we just are just now getting a pin designed for this fall that our volunteers will wear on their lanyard that says step into the yes. It's got one of our fun characters on it, just as a great reminder of the overall church vision and what we're saying this year and what we're stepping into. And so that's a thing that we have for our overall. But as far as kids ministry or as far as our volunteers, we don't have a year specific theme that goes over for all of Go Kids, but we just are in alignment with our senior pastor and with the vision of all of River Valley. So great question. Are there any others? These are good questions, guys. You're welcome. Awesome. Very cool. Hey, if you haven't checked it out, we've got a ton of our resources, curriculum, music, lyric videos, volunteer manuals, training pieces, all sorts of stuff is available for you for free on River Valley Network. And so I encourage you, if you haven't already, take a look at it. There's a lot of different components speaking specifically to volunteers. And so I mentioned earlier about the student ministries and Go Live. Our manual that we've created is actually on the network for you to take a look at. We've also got one for our Club 45, which is for 4th and 5th graders to put them into ministry. We've got that manual on there as well. There's a few of the different volunteer pieces that take a look at. And always, if you have any questions, obviously on volunteers and structures and things like that, please reach out. And we love talking about this stuff. So thank you guys so much. This has been a blast. Always love chances that we get to just talk kids ministry and praying for you, believing in you and your ministry, and I truly believe that the best is yet to come. So thanks, guys.